Okay, in this lesson, we're going to once again be working with our y-intercept equation. We're just going to be extending on what we've previously learned. So we're going to review once again the different parts of the y-intercept equation. So our y-intercept equation is y equals mx plus b, where m equals our slope of our line, and our b is where it's crossing the y-intercept. And hopefully by this time you're starting to get really comfortable with that equation. Okay, today what they're going to be doing is, in previous lessons, they gave us a line and they asked us to write the y-intercept equation. Today what they're going to do is they're going to give us a line, no, not a line, sorry, a point and a slope, and they're going to ask us to write the y-intercept equation from that. Okay, so here is our first part of our activity. Sketch the line that passes or that has the given slope and passes through the given point. So remember, in our y-intercept equation, our slope was our m. So here they're telling us the slope. And they have identified for us a point on a line. So they've actually put that point on our grid. They want us to find the y-intercept and then write the equation from there. So we don't know the y-intercept, but we do know the slope. So if I go through and start my equation, y equals blank x plus or minus something, I can fill in my slope right away because I know it, which is right here. Remember, it's y equals mx. Well, they're telling us m is -2, or we could write that as -2/1. So we're going to practice drawing slope now, which is a review from earlier this chapter. So I'm going to go down 2 over to the right 1, down 2, 1, 2 to the right 1. Okay, so now if I continue that, I like to continue the pattern just in case I slightly get off on my straight edge. But if you're comfortable with lining up your straight edge perfectly, you could go through and do that. I'm just going to continue the pattern. So I'm going to continue to go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, and I need to go until I cross my y line. So down 2 over 1. There, I'm crossing my y line now. So here is my y-intercept, and that is a -2. So my equation is y equals -2x minus 2. What was my y-intercept? That was -2. And then here's the equation. Okay, it's just really good practice to go through and continue that pattern, because once again, if you were to get slightly off, and I'm going to intentionally be slightly off on my line, by not passing through the corner, the perfect corner, notice how I've shifted my line slightly off. And if I were to erase each of my dots, you'll see that, yes, I did kind of cross through a corner here, but because I was slightly off, it did not cross through the corner here like it should have. Okay, that's why I think it's really important to continue your pattern versus just using a straight edge. Okay, so let's go ahead and try another one of these. Okay, so this time we have a slope of 1/3 and our point. So we're going to go through, follow our slope from that point, and then we're going to fill in our parts of our equation. Y equals blank x plus or minus something. Remember, this is our slope, so we already know that. It's written right here. So it's 1/3 x. Now I have to find where it crosses the y line. So my slope is a positive 1/3. So I'm going to go up 1 and over 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, because I have to get back towards the y line, I don't want to continue going up 1 and over 3. That's taking me away from the y line if I'm going to continue my pattern. So I'm going to work it backwards. I'm going to go down 1 over 3. 1, 2, 3. Down 1 over 3. 1, 2, 3. You can now see my pattern. Now, you could go through and actually draw or do your line with a straight edge and then just double check yourself if it's crossing between two numbers. I can now see that it's landing right on +1. So that's the back end of my equation. So my y-intercept was +1. My equation was y equals 1/3 x plus 1. Go ahead and try one more. So this time we have a negative 2/3 for our slope. So y equals our slope, which was negative 2/3 x, and then where it crosses our y line. So if I go from this point down 2, because it's negative 2/3, 1, 2, over to the right 3, 1, 2, 3, there's my point. Now, if I were to continue that, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, you'll see I'm working away from the y line. So I'm going to go ahead and work it backwards. And I'm going to do this in blue so that you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to work backwards, and I'm going to go from this point to that point. So I go up 1, 2, over 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go up 2, 1, 2, over 1, 2, 3. There I landed on a number on my y line, which was positive 4. Once again, if you'd like to use a straight edge, you could go ahead and use your straight edge. You have to be very precise in making sure that when you line it up, you are lining up not just touching this point, but getting it right through the corner where that point is intersecting, okay? You could do your straight edge and then go back and recount if you're passing between two numbers. I just like to continue the pattern. Okay, so that's it for this part of the lesson. So we're going to go ahead and move on to activity 3, which was working with a story problem. So you guys can bypass activity 2. And this is our activity 3. So it says writing a linear equation. So here they're giving us a story problem. It says for 4 months you have saved $25 a month. You now have $175 in your savings account. Draw a graph that shows the balance in your account after T months. Write an equation that represents the balance A after T months. So here they're wanting us to use A and T instead of Y and X. So I'll do it both ways, but I will give you the option of just keeping it in that Y equals MX plus B format. Okay, so the scenario is right now it's at month 4. And we have $175, so that's what they plotted on this point. Now, I'm going to have to work backwards to be able to figure out where it crosses my Y line. So in order to do that, no, I don't get to just draw a line anywhere. I have to use the information. So it says you save $75 a month. So each, or not 75, sorry, $25 a month. So each month I saved $25. So if I were to go back to month 3, well, I would have $25 less, right? So notice that in my graph, each box is worth $25. So that means that at month 3, I was right here because that's $25 less. It would put me at $150. So at month 2, well, 150 minus 25 gives me 125. So I'm sitting there. You can now see my pattern, right? So then month 1 was here, and at month 0, which was when I started at $75. So why would we need to know that? Well, we need to know how much money we started with in our account. So this was probably something where maybe you were given $75, maybe a grandparent. Sometimes grandparents set up accounts for their grandchildren and they say, I'm going to put money in and then I'm going to add money each month or each year or whatever. So it looks like this, maybe if that's a grandparent or you yourself, started out with $75 at the very beginning. So if we were to write our original Y equals equation, there's our slope, X, plus or minus where it crosses the Y line. Well, we just found out from graphing this out without doing the line that it crosses at positive 75, so plus 75. And now we need our slope. So here's the tricky part. Take note that our rise is no longer just a box and a box. Our rise is actually worth, each box was worth $25. So our rise was 25. Our run was, yes, still a 1. So our rise was 25 over 1. And yes, it's positive because we're adding that in there. So our rise and our run was 25 over 1 or 25x plus 75. Now, what the book wanted us to do was actually use A and T. So A equals 25T, or times the amount of time, plus 75. Okay, I will accept either of those. It's just if you were to do this maybe on a standardized test or something and they give you multiple choice, you might not see it in the Y and the X format, but you would see it written like this. Just know if you were to compare, as long as you had numbers in the same positions, you would probably be okay. That's it for this part of the lesson. So you'll continue to get some of these. We'll work more with them in future lessons also.